And now, a math lesson. Let's say the Zaxby's chicken finger plate comes with 4, 5, or 6 hand-breaded fingers and 1 side of Zax sauce. Plus, you can try them with Zax sauce, honey mustard, hot honey mustard, tongue torch, teriyaki, wimpy, nuclear, barbecue ranch, sweet and spicy, insane. How many possible combinations does that make? Carry the 2 with the remainder... a lot. Zaxby's chicken finger plate. The sauceabilities are endless.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Come on, it's lovely weather for a sleigh ride together with you.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, proudly presented by Zaxby's Indescribably Good. Rate, review, subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. 5-star reviews only, please. And if you're listening to us on YouTube, and there's several thousand of you, hit that thumbs up button. We certainly would appreciate it. It means a little bit, believe it or not. Just hit that little button that is a thumb pointing in the up direction. And just think of it as like Corey being like, hey, man, thanks a lot. Corey Clark and I work for Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Promo code's Warchant30. Gets you 30 free days of access to the ultimate Seminole sports source. It's going to be a busy weekend for you, Corey Clark. Maybe a column, maybe a gamer out of you. Hoops and football in Tallahassee in one day. Who'd have thunk?
Yeah, it should be exciting, right? I mean, there's only going to be, a couple thousand people, I guess, that can go to both. But I might be one of the lucky ones. I haven't talked it over with Ira, but I assume he'll want me to go to the basketball game. And I know he'll want me to go to the football game. So, you get over there for a little 11 a.m. hoops against the Gators. And then 4 p.m., you got the Blue Devils rolling into town.
What are we going for, 7 in a row on the Gators?
Yes. Right? 7 or 8. I think 7.
Yeah.
You lose count after a while.
I should know. I was in Gainesville last year for whatever number that was. That was cool. I've never been in that dump before. That was super sweet, Seeing all those people sad, walking out of there. But then, they could take solace in the fact that they were going to win football. But who cares?
Let's not. We need to knock. We need to knock on some wood or something, right? Though, like we gotta make sure that actually happens. We can't count our chickens that these games are actually going to be played until they're actually played. But if everything goes according to plan, yes, it should be a really fun Saturday.
Okay. Also, they rescheduled the hoops game too, right? Gardner-Webb is back on the schedule. Bring the bullies back.
Yeah, for December 21st, maybe. So they have Indiana on Wednesday, and a late start.
9:15, right?
That's crazy.
Let's go.
And then for the Big Ten Challenge, and then they have Florida on Saturday. I think they play Georgia Tech after that. We look, guys, we just look on it. We're game by game, and the biggest opponent is ourselves anyway. We don't need to. You know what I mean? We don't need to look ahead. We're not peeking ahead. But then, at some point in the middle of the ACC games, Gardner-Webb is sprinkled back in there.
Yeah, I think it is the 21st. You always trust that first instinct of yours, Corey. Go with it.
All right, good. All right.
So, also, I should have pulled this up here. Me always, never being prepared. But Bimini Bound, 3:09 a.m. on a Sunday, hashtag living that new dad life, I imagine, says, dang Corey Clark, and Aslan, you sent me down a wormhole trying to figure out where brass tacks comes from. Essentially, it's because brass was historically the standard, or at least some standard, of solid when the saying originated. So brass being solid, an attack punches a point. It's time to get down to brass tacks.
Okay, all right. I appreciate the effort, Bimini Bound. I really do. I wish the story was a little cooler. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is it? Cat out of the bag, and all those like how those stories originated are just nuts. Who let the cat out of the bag? You know that one?
No, I don't.
I think I might have it wrong now. It's been a couple years, but I looked it up. It was back in the day they used to trade. I don't know what they put in these bags, like little piglets or something. But the traders, to try to get over on the people, they say, "Oh yeah, we got 8 little piglets in here. That'll be whatever." 20 cents, whatever it cost, whatever the pig going rate for a piglet was back then. That'll be 20 cents. But what they would do is like when you do a roll of money and you tell people this is $200, the first couple are 20s, then after that it's a stack of 10s or whatever, or a stack of 1s. Okay. They would put like 2 or 3 piglets in there, and then like 3 or 4 cats, because cats are a dime a dozen. So that was where don't let the cat out of the bag, because then they'll know, oh, those aren't all piglets. Okay. I could be wrong. I think I'm right, though. I'll be honest with you guys. I think I'm right. That's basically what you guys listen to this podcast for, is old axioms that we can talk about. Axioms, idioms, whatever.
Yeah. Some other housekeeping, I guess we would call it, Corey. Did you see Taylor Kurtz tweeted at you, said he listened to the podcast the other day? You mentioned a Sarasota wedding, says they got married in early March there. Did you get married at the Powell Crosley estate, or is that too personal?
That's way too personal, man. Don't ever no, of course that's not personal. No, I got married at the Botanical Gardens, I think. Oh. Yeah, it was the Botanical Gardens. And it was right on the bay. So we sold it. It was a June wedding, but we sold it as, look, you come down here, it's beautiful. You'll be right on the water. It'll be nice and breezy. It's an outdoor wedding under this huge, weird Harry Potter tree, but you get the breeze. And no, there was no breeze. It was 170 degrees. I'm sweating. I sweated through my jacket. And that's a bad look at a wedding. If the groom is sweating like a madman, sweating like I just played 48 minutes in the NBA, but it really was the heat. But it was still a good time. It was a fun time. I would recommend it to other people that want to get married under weird trees. Banyan trees.
Banyan trees, that's right. That is right. And back to your basketball scheduling. Yeah, that's right. They have Indiana Wednesday, Gators Saturday, next Tuesday, Georgia Tech, following Saturday, UCF, and then 2 Mondays from now, 21st. Gardner-Webb, the Bulldogs, come back to town.
By the way, the mighty Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech beat the tar out of Kentucky on Sunday. Yeah, beat them by like 17 points.
Look at that.
Yeah, so not a rollover. Not that Georgia Tech was a rollover last year either, but those are some tough games coming up.
Is Josh Pastner still at Georgia Tech?
Yeah. Still, they lost to Georgia State in like quadruple overtime. Georgia Tech did. Then they lost to Mercer, and then the next game they beat Kentucky.
There you go.
So what are you gonna do?
Speaking of losing to Georgia State or Southern, sorry, Willie. Willie lost.
What was the score of that?
20-3.
Oh, come on, Willie. They had a nice season, right? That was only was that only their second loss?
Yeah, they lost to Marshall, who I think Marshall was the presumptive Conference USA sort of lead dog, but they got beat by Rice, coached by former Florida State offensive lineman Mike Blomgren.
Got shut out by Rice.
Yeah.
That was crazy. What a weird season. I know I say it a lot.
Stupid season. Cincinnati and Indiana are in the top 10. This doesn't even crazy. Count. Enjoy it, Gator fans. Losers.
Yeah, in like A&M look, you're winning what you need to win. You don't need to dismiss it. The wins do count, and there's something to build on. But it is such a goofy season, man. Like you watch LSU, and you're like, Alabama could have scored 100 if they wanted to. Like LSU, those players just didn't want to be there, and Alabama's defense wasn't great either in the first half. It's almost like some of these games, they look like the All-Pro when they used to play the All-Pro game there at the end. I don't think they do it anymore, right? No. Where it's basically two-hand touch, and you're just shouldering into each other, and then they blow it dead. Like some of these games are just outrageous. And it's just, hey, I'm glad they're trying. I appreciate the effort. It's better than not having a college football season. But, yeah, quite obviously. I mean, you had Coastal Carolina and BYU played probably one of the better games of the year, and they had 2 days advance notice. Like that, all week long, Coastal Carolina had been game planning for Liberty, and then on Thursday they're like, "Oh no, it's a whole different team," but you still only have 2 days to prepare. So good luck. And BYU flew across the country, not having scouted Coastal Carolina at all. I mean, that's just what this season is, and it's what it's going to be in basketball too. So you just have to roll with it. But I think basketball, to me, will have more of a normal feel in the sense that they will get to a tournament, and you will play the team in front of you in the tournament. And you have to win to advance. This college football season, it's just a goofball fest, and you just hope you get through it with no serious illnesses, which I guess they haven't really had one in college football player-wise yet. But either way, it's just I don't know how you put a ton of stock into it if you're having a down season. I guess, but I say that I guess
Coach
Kentucky did.
Fired, man. Alabama fired their coach.
South Carolina did. Kentucky did. So I get it. But it's just so hard to judge, especially a first year. And again, that sounds as an excuse. It's just the reality. It's a first year coach in this craziness. To me, it seems like obviously South Carolina was just looking for an excuse. They got a good one because they were horrible this year. And then Kentucky, same thing.
Well, Kentucky didn't boot Stoops, did they?
Oh, no, sorry, but they got
Eddie Grant.
Yeah, Eddie Grant and the quarterback's coach.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which, I mean, look, I think they lost a couple of their quarterbacks, but yeah, I mean, Eddie Grant was being punished for past crimes against offense. It wasn't just this season; it was the seasons before it. So anyway, just a goofy season. You have to watch it with a little bit of a jaundiced eye, but it still beats not having college football.
Yeah, Southern Miss fired their coach in the beginning of the season, I think after game number 1. It is kind of curious to see some departments, even in the midst of all this craziness and financial uncertainty, still going ahead and hiring and firing and dumping people. But again, such is crazy life in 2020. I like it, though, man. I like the whole aspect that you don't get a week to game plan for somebody. Let's see what you're really made of. 2 days. Let's go.
Sure.
Can you imagine Saban having to play a game like on 2 days' notice with an opponent? I'd love it.
I feel like they'd still win, probably.
Yeah, but I just want to see him stressed. I want to see him maybe get a gray hair or two.
Sure.
Maybe see him age a little bit.
And did you see that? And I don't know. It's always hard with these numbers too, like how many scholarship players are available, how many guys are out, because a lot of schools, like Florida State for that matter, I did give Clemson a lot of grief for that debacle 3 weeks ago, but Clemson is transparent with their numbers, and Florida State is not. You don't know who has it. You don't know, not even who has it, how many kids are out with it. And that's a choice the school makes, not a choice that the NCAA makes. The Florida State just chooses not to be transparent there, but you don't know how many guys are officially out of a game. But even still, South Carolina apparently went and played Kentucky with 16 scholarship defensive players. 16. Interesting. Yeah, they gave up 40 points in the first half to the worst offense in college football. It's preposterous.
Well,
and what did it even do? Kentucky fired their guy. At least they went out on top. At least Eddie Green got to see some touchdowns against basically a high school defense, but at least he got to see some touchdowns, so that was cool. Not even a high school, like a Class A high school defense. Yeah. You ever covered like a Class A high school football game or Class AA?
Brother, I covered like 6-man football in Montana.
Oh, yeah. So you see those sidelines when there's like 11 kids on the sideline. Yeah. So that's basically what Kentucky was apparently going up against Saturday night.
What about your athletic director in Athens saying that he was angry at Vanderbilt?
I would never make an excuse for him. I think that was more. He came back and said, "I'm not angry." He's angry. He's frustrated at the situation, not angry at Vanderbilt. Okay. Because the way it was written sounded like he was blaming Vanderbilt and screw those guys. I'm irate. And it was we did everything we were supposed to do to get ready to play this game. It's unfortunate that the other team didn't. And I'm sure Virginia was upset at Florida State, rightfully so, that they weren't ready that they didn't have enough available bodies to play. That wasn't Virginia's fault. But again, you're all just trying to navigate this thing the best you can. And I don't think he was necessarily taking a shot at Vanderbilt, like being babies. I just think he was upset that the game was that his team had done what it was supposed to do, and that the game was called because the other team hadn't. But he also said he understands. He has nothing against Vanderbilt. So whatever. What can you do?
I mean, come on. How can you have animus towards Vanderbilt? I mean,
especially if you're Georgia. I mean, that's a dub every year.
Yeah, right.
For my lifetime. For my lifetime, I feel like they've got to be like, I don't know, 39-6 against Vanderbilt. And it's not like Georgia's been great for a long stretch of that time. Like but Vanderbilt just is straight here in the SEC West. They just straight hand dubs to these coaches. Like Duke used to be, or Duke still. By the way, did you see the Duke game?
Saw bits and pieces of it. It was on the laptop. I had the big boy football, SEC football on the big television. But Duke does not look very strong right now. Doesn't look like a very spirited squad. But that's just what the doctor ordered. Let's go. Let's
get Florida State's favored, which is something. They're favored by 3.
No,
and I'm telling you, and I watched some of that Duke game, and I'm like, man, I think Florida State can beat them by multiple touchdowns. Like that, and I know that's not saying a lot. But like who would I don't know that I'd say that against like Ferris State or something. But Duke just looks like they don't want any part of any of this. Like they're just done. They don't want to play anymore. And that's why I said to hold out a little bit on let's not celebrate them playing a game this Saturday until we actually see them on the field warming up to play a game. because Duke Cutcliffe had already said he wasn't really interested in makeup games, and then his team gave that performance. Man, it just seems like that whole team is checked out a little bit. But then, couldn't you say that about Florida State if you had watched their last 3 games?
You ain't wrong.
Except they did, they showed a little fight in the fourth quarter against NC State.
They did.
I don't want to forget that. Warren Thompson making a catch, Brownlee making Sports Center. They showed a little fight, much more than Duke did. I'll tell you that much. That for the people that don't know, it was I think the final was 48-0.
Yes.
Good grief. So yeah, man, they could actually win this game. They should win this game. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Florida State, even with all the opt-outs and all the players that aren't there, should beat Duke on Saturday.
I'm trying. There's a website that I've used for probably at least 20 years to look up all-time head-to-head records, and apparently that website is no longer. I did want to pull up the Georgia Vanderbilt thing just because that's the way I operate. It's like in my head now, and I want to let everybody know. But yeah, we cannot lose to Duke. That would be unforgivable sin in my book, believe it or not. I'm going to go that far and say so. Longest win streak you guys have ever had is 11. From 74 to 84? Really? That's it? That's terrible. They've beat you guys?
11 is a lot.
I know, but that means you guys have – listen to the last time you guys lost to them in 2013? Yeah. Rick lost – you guys lost them in 2016.
Oh, yeah, it happens.
Mason beat Kirby Smart in Athens.
Yeah, it happens.
Well, Duke beating Florida State doesn't happen. So Mike Norvell, let's let him make that. No, stop it, man. We did avoid the dubious distinction of losing to an FCS team. So good keeping that intact, Mike.
Yeah.
But let's not lose to Duke. The team's just bad. That team is bad. Although I don't even know what this Florida State team looks like because we don't even know what they're comprised of right now. But I do think offensively they should be good enough to put points up on Duke, and I don't know if Duke's gonna really be all that adept, even with this very porous defense, to do enough.
I think they should put up, again, they don't have Webb, they don't have Terry, who are their 2 best other playmakers besides Jordan Travis. But if Travis can get through the game, I feel like you should put in the neighborhood of 35 points up. Duke gave up 55 to Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. And I watched that Georgia Tech offense on Saturday against NC State, and it's not good. Yeah. And they gave up 48 to Miami easily. I would think you should get 4 or 5 touchdowns. You just hope that's enough.
Are you excited for the game? It's so weird. I can't. I mean, it's December. Like, December football's got – there's always, importance if you're playing in early December. So it's kind of weird. And then, it seems like the season was over for a little bit. Now it's back.
Excited. I think excited's a strong word. I would say intrigued.
Okay.
I legit want to see what it looks like after. It's going to be when did they play NC State? Was that November 8th or something?
Stand by. I'll pick it up.
Look that up, Aslan. Look it up, Aslan. Look it up.
Clap. It was November 14th.
Okay, so we're talking 16 days, and then so you're going to have 28 days off in between games. That's crazy. So, I am intrigued to what that looks like. 28 days of Jordan Travis, and that means Jordan Travis has had 35 days off. So basically a whole preseason. Mm-hmm. So he should be as healthy as we've ever seen him, other than the first 2 runs against Boston College last year.
Yeah.
And then so you have a healthy Jordan Travis who should, make some plays with his legs. Hopefully he makes some with his arms too, and you can build on that. And then, so I'm intrigued with that. I'm intrigued with how the defense plays. Again, with 30 days off, maybe they figured some things out. Maybe they switched some kids to some positions they might be better at moving forward. So I'm kind of I'm intrigued at how they come out. Are they chomping at the bit like we all want our football players to do? Or are they just kind of this feels more like an exhibition anyway, so they kind of go through the motions? I'm legit. They should be, if they have anything in them at all, they should be like foam coming out of their mouths. They haven't been able to tackle anyone in 35 days. And don't make any jokes about how they didn't tackle anybody when they did play games. We don't need to hear that right now, guys. But they haven't gotten to tackle anybody and be physical in over a month. So they should be really fired up. Now, they're not going to play great because they're not good. But if they play the way you want them to play and fly around, Again, I think that's something to build on. It has to be, because these are the guys you're moving forward with. Anybody on that field on on Saturday, anybody, I don't know, why would I say Friday? That's a weird thing to say.
Maybe because you're watching a Pac-12 football game on a Sunday evening.
That could be right. It feels like a Friday night. Yeah, you're right. The guys that are on that field on Saturday are the guys that's the core of next year. The guys that are still here are the guys that will be here, maybe with a few exceptions. But I would guess over 90% of the players on that field will be here again next year. Those are the building blocks. So I want to see how they attack this. I'm genuinely interested. Again, excited,
Intrigued.
a little too strong.
Intrigued
Intrigued is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, well, I'm excited because I'd like to know what the future is going to hold. And I guess to your point,
yeah.
we're going to get kind of an idea of what we have left in the cupboard and how much of it can be relied and depended upon, and hopefully they can fill in some gaps with.
Let me ask something. I wanted to ask you a question. I wrote a column. I think it's up on Warchant right now. You guys need to be on Warchant as much as possible for the next few weeks. What do you think they should do in the grad transfer market, quarterback wise?
Go after somebody, yeah. Like the grad transfer, yeah.
Or just transfer in general. I guess nowadays, I don't know why I said grad transfer.
Yeah, right.
Just transfer in general.
Somebody that's not in high school, yeah. Somebody that's in their 20s, somebody that can drink alcohol. Yeah, I'm all about it. Go get somebody.
You want a beer drinker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. You want a beer drunker, maybe a hairy chest, guy that's seen some things, lived some life.
That's right.
I got you. But so let's say look, they're not going to get Joe Burrow. The column I wrote is like, look, most transfer quarterbacks are Everett Golson and Alex Hornibrook. That's the majority, the ones that Florida State could get. Maybe not even that level anymore. Like Everett Golson, he joined a team that had just won 29 straight games, and Alex Hornibrook joined a team that he thought was going to, maybe on the rebound. This isn't that program anymore. So what do you think Florida State could reasonably attract on the transfer market? And would that be worth maybe irritating the two kids that you think might be the future at the position to go after someone who's just kind of You know what I mean?
It's a business. It's Jordan Travis knows it's all about getting 1% better. So if this gets the program 1% better, you should be fine with it.
He's just trying to get better every day. I'm with him. I'm with him on that. We all are, really.
I'm very in tune and concerned about our players' well-being psychologically and whatnot. But yeah, this program's not in that position. It's we can't be tiptoeing around Chubba Purdy or Jordan Travis's feelings. Mike Norvell needs to put his best foot forward to get this thing moving in a positive direction. And
that's kind of what I wrote. But it is something he has to think about. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's, because look, there is a chance, I wrote.
Real quick, if I can just jump in, they've all kind of had an opportunity though, right? Like maybe not the greatest opportunities, but if you're Tate Rodemaker and you're going to be upset, it's like, hey man, like you started a game. Like you started a game and you didn't play particularly well. Chubba, you haven't been able to stay healthy. Now some of that could be blamed perhaps on the doctors who worked on and operated on you, but that's probably a whole nother podcast. And Jordan, you have not made yourself available once they did figure out that you're actually a good quarterback and they can tailor an entire offense around you. So I would hope that some of that is kind of recognized by these guys. It's like, even James Blackman probably obviously deserved to get pushed, but he might have had more of a sort of ground to stand on with, hey, man, like I've sat here, I've waited my turn, I've been a good soldier, and you keep bringing in guys to try to take my job away from me. I think he probably had more of a leg to stand on than any of these guys on the current roster.
Well, I disagree with that only because he'd got plenty of chances. These two guys haven't. They got 5 total starts between them. But I see what you're saying. Like as far as his feelings, because who is Jordan Travis or Chubba Purdy to get upset if they go in and try to bring? Let's use and I don't have any inside. Yeah, let's use him as an example. To me, it would make more sense if he went to Nebraska, right? Because that's his former coach. But let's just say he wants to stay in the Sunshine State and he wants to come to Florida, play at Florida State. Obviously, you're not going to say no to him, right? Certainly not for the feelings of Chubba Purdy or Jordan Travis. At the same token, though, if you bring in Mackenzie Milton and now Chubba Purdy, a kid from Arizona who played one game for you, feels like he's third string, well, your portal might be full again. And that's just a reality. I'm not saying Chubba doesn't love Florida State. He might be here and set records for the night. He might be here for 4 years and set all kinds of records. But that is the reality of college football in 2020. In 2021, I guess in this case, when we look ahead, is that I don't know. And Rodemaker is just a different, like he hasn't shown anything to really even get excited about yet. I think he's got 3 interceptions and 26 pass. I'm not again, he might be great, but I think the one you worry about right now is Chuba. And certainly not to the point where you say no to McKenzie Milton, but I do think it's something that, man, what a return. I can't believe I'm watching this live. Everybody's going to see this USC kid just made a tipped a linebacker, tipped the ball to himself on a pass, caught it. On his return, he hurdled a guy and then took it to the 3-yard line. It's too bad he didn't. If he had scored, it would have been an all-time highlight. Anyway, back to my train of thought.
What's his name? Can we get him in the portal?
Number 15 for USC.
All right.
Whatever you got to do to get him.
Somebody get on it.
That was insanity. So that's what I wonder. Like, in usually there's not a McKenzie Milton out there. Maybe he wants to come to Florida State. You would certainly not say no, but I do wonder what that does to the two guys that are still going to be a sophomore and a freshman next year already on your roster. But you don't worry about that, is I guess what I was asking about.
No, well, because one of them will stick around. Jordan or Chubb, one of them will stick around. 2021, you have them as still sophomore. Well, at least Jordan as a sophomore still, I think.
Yeah.
You have McKenzie Milton for 1 year, for example. And then you actually, maybe if one of those guys wins you 6 games, 7 games, then you can recruit a prep quarterback. And, then it's Jordan Travis's job in 2022. And then you have a prep guy. And you kind of are back to circulating and cycling like a normal depth chart at quarterback. Yeah, you got it. I mean, there is no position on this team that you don't look at the portal at. Not even running back. Even running back, you'd be like, all right, yeah, we could probably use you.
No, Florida State is in a position where it has to go for best available. I don't know that anybody out there, and in fact, maybe even the Milton kid, who knows, man, it's been 2 years since he played and it was a crazy injury, but I don't know that there's anybody out there at quarterback that's going to be in the transfer portal that will help you as much as a more experienced Jordan Travis and Chuba Purdy would. You know what I mean? Normally there would be, I think, but Florida State isn't in a normal place. I just don't think like the backup at Alabama is going to be like, man, I got to find a place to play. What's Florida State's depth chart look like?
Maybe Brad Johnson's kid. Maybe Max Johnson will come here.
Yeah, hey, man, there's a lot of options, but I think that is something that like a head coach has to think about that we don't. Like, how do you explain to Chuba that you're bringing in Ohio State's backup?
I went 2-9, Chuba. They're going to fire me.
But Chuba would be like, but you only went 0-1 with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm only one of those losses, but I guess you give me the pit loss too, coach, but I wasn't part of the game plan. So yeah, I just think I'm interested to see how that goes because, by the way, I am of the opinion too that they desperately need another quarterback. I don't foresee all 3 of these guys being on the team. Certainly not in 2022, maybe not even in 2021, the scholarship kids. And they lost Altmaier. So, I think they desperately need a quarterback, even if it's for depth purposes. But then I wonder, what does it do to your depth if Jordan Travis is like, peace out, man. I'm the only reason y'all scored any touchdowns last year, and now you're going to go get a backup from a bigger school. I'm leaving. Or if Chuba wants to go hang out with the Gila Monsters in Arizona, go back home to the desert, then you're still left with what, two scholarship quarterbacks, or 3, I guess, if Rodemaker stays. I don't know. It's just something to think about, something to write about. It's a unique situation, though, right? I don't remember Florida State being in a position quite like this, where you have 2 quarterbacks who are both still technically young in the sense that they'll be underclassmen next year, that you don't feel terrible about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like both of them, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, Chuba might be a player. Jordan certainly has aspects of his game that are really dynamic. I don't know if he's going to ever be a great quarterback, but he's certainly somebody that you can use on your football team. And moving forward, he should just get better because like I said, he's had 4 starts in his career. Chuba's had 1. So I feel like going into next season, if those are the 2 guys, you feel okay. But then like you brought up, neither one is, I know it's not maybe Chuba's fault. None of them are their fault, but Jordan Travis is always banged up. Chuba Purdy he was out for the whole preseason, took forever to get back from his injury. Again, no fault of his own. Plays 1 game, is out for the season again. So I think that's the selling point if you're Norvell, if you're trying to explain to them, look, we need backup. We love you guys. We think you guys can really play, but we've got to have something in case one or both of you guys get hurt. Right?
Yeah.
But it's not like when Francois left and you were just left with James Blackman, or when Jameis left and somehow all you had was Cosentino and Smag. That's all that was left on your roster, which is still insane. But moving forward like that, this is different in the sense that you have two young guys that you feel kind of okay about. It might end up being good players, but you're still out there looking. Florida State's never really been in a position like this before where they kind of like the quarterbacks they have, but they still probably need to bring in another one. And I assume they're still recruiting a high school kid too, right?
Yeah, I think Michael Langston threw out some names last week when Luke Altmaier did decommit. Jake Garcia is one of the guys. There's an update from the Kane Sport website that's part of the Rivals.com network. There's some, I guess, good momentum maybe. I can't see that kid.
Okay, so what if they landed a high school? I was kind of just because it's so late in the game. But it was late in the game when Chubba came on board too, and Rodemaker for that matter. So if they landed a high school kid, would you still want a college transfer? Because we don't expect a high school kid to help out next year, but it would add depth.
Well, I think a guy like Jake Garcia might project to be kind of a guy that can come in and play day one. That was the thing about Luke Altmaier. Like, I think Luke Altmaier was going to be a polished, ready passer college football day one. So I guess it depends what kind of kid you're able to get. Florida State not in the mix for a lot of elite guys, but Garcia's one name that's out there. Apparently his dad said that, his son's going to most likely end up committing somewhere that he's visited, and Florida State's one of the places that he has visited, but I think Miami might have an inside track on it. But yeah, I don't know if that would change the dynamic, because then you start getting a really crowded room. And then again, man, not to interrupt you, but I like to do that. I agree with you though. If there's somebody out there that you think can help your team win, even if you've signed a high school quarterback, if there's somebody out there that's for some reason a kid just gets lonely, or De'Aaron King wants to play for every school in Florida. He's just like, I did what I did at Miami. Now I want to see if I can do it at Florida State too. You don't say no to De'Aaron King because of any of these guys' feelings. You don't say no, obviously, to like a Joe Burrow or a Russell Wilson, although they ain't out there and they ain't coming. But you don't say no to even Joe Burrow wasn't Joe Burrow though.
No, I know, but still he was a high level recruit, right? That was at Ohio State. I don't know that you're going to be able to get an Ohio State backup. And he was backing up a really good player that's out there. But if there is somebody out there that you think can help you from a big time school, or even if the Brady White kid decides he wants to do it again for whatever reason, I'm certainly not saying that you should say no to that. You got to go get somebody that you think can help win games for you next year. But it will be interesting, because I think that will tell us what they think of Travis and Purdy helping them next year.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe if they strike out and don't get anybody, does that mean we might not necessarily hear about it? Them striking out and missing. Does that necessarily mean it's because they have faith in Jordan?
Yeah, because they have the guys they want. Yeah.
Yeah, so. Hey, Corey, let's talk about mybookie.com. It's a very easy sports book to use. If you use the promo code WARCHANT, you get half of your deposit match. So if you deposit like $100, they'll give you $50. We were supposed to do picks last week, Corey, to help people make money. I did a 3-game parlay for our people at home. I went 2 for 3, which is, it's not good. It's a parlay. You got to hit all of them.
I was going to say, you need to explain to people what exactly a parlay is.
Okay.
Because not everybody listening to this knows.
Yeah, so a parlay, I think that's where you're going to make your money most likely, betting on games. It's, 2, 4, 6, 5, 10, 13. It's a multi-combination wager where everything has to hit for you to win. So you could pick 10 games, whether it's who's going to win with the spread or over-unders or the first half-point spread, and you can get 9 out of 10 right, but you won't win anything. But if you go 10 out of 10, you will win probably gobs of money. So the 3 games that I did pick, so Tennessee was a 17.5-point dog. I said, go ahead, take that. They lost by 12. So
well, you got really lucky. That was an ultimate backdoor cover.
Yeah, well, hey. I'm even up for my Steelers-Ravens game. Never going to get over that one.
Yep.
And then Oregon State against Utah, which was really reckless because I didn't realize that Oregon State's quarterback was still going to be out. I remember he got hurt like the second to last play of the Civil War. But they did cover. I think they lost by 6. They were an 11-point dog. And then where you're going to make your money is you got to bet some underdogs. And you got to bet underdogs to win straight up. But it was a colossal swing and miss. I picked West Virginia to beat Iowa State. And I think Iowa State won by 44-6 or something. It was ugly. So I don't know. I went 2 for 3 this week. So I don't know if that do I make a return appearance? That's like a 66% percentage. That's pretty good in the gaming community. Or I think I might defer to you this week, Corey. So you do look at some of these games on MyBookie, and then like Friday, give some people some games for entertainment purposes. Can you do that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and take everything I say, please, at face value, because I'm not a great gambler. But hey, I have opinions, and that's what matters, right? I'll give you a reason for my pick anyway. I won't just say, "Oh, hammer this." Take Michigan State in the points without at least, having some reason for my madness.
There we go. MyBookie.com. Use the promo code WARCHANT. You will get matched half of your deposit. Okay, so what else? Is there anything else, other crux of your columns, Corey, other than whether or not quarterback transfer is something you're going to look at, or was it overall big picture?
No. It was just on the quarterbacks because I think look, every other position, they're just trying to get the best players available, obviously, and you're doing that at quarterback too. But there's no other position you feel great about. Yeah. Maybe running back, but even then, you're not turning down a great running back. I just thought I just think this is such a unique offseason for Florida State in terms of the quarterback. You have two guys that started games, that played well at times. One guy proved to be a really unique weapon that is part of your plans moving forward for sure. And I think both of us think that Chubba Purdy is part of the plans moving forward for sure. But where does he fit in if they want to go look to bring in a grad transfer? Because usually you bring in a grad transfer when the starting quarterback was, say, James Blackman. You know what I mean? Not to be offensive to James Blackman, but I'm just calling it like I see it, folks. He was not good. He never was good. That's when you go get a grad transfer that you think can help you. When you actually like your quarterbacks, that's not usually the case. But you certainly wouldn't turn someone away if they wanted to come. And neither one of these guys is proven enough. Well, that's the bigger thing.
You're also not obligated to start the guy either.
True. Hornibrook didn't start. Yeah. So. But I guess more to the point too, I wanted to make, not more to the point, but another point I want to make is neither one of these guys has proven themselves enough to warrant, no way, do not go get a grad transfer. I'm the man. I'm the future. I think Jordan Travis is closer, obviously, because he played more. But again, there's the health concerns with him. And then Chubba Purdy has played a total of 3 halves of football in college. So there's no way to really know what he is either. So neither one has proven themselves to be above going after a grad transfer quarterback. But I do think I do think Dillingham and Norvell like those two guys. We'll just see, how much they like them, or if they think they need to find somebody in the short term too.
I think a lot of it too, this conversation kind of hinges on the fact that, I don't know, I think we're kind of projecting what kind of young man we think Jordan Travis is. Like, it seems like he's a, good soldier, team player, follows, the culture and all that kind of stuff. But, he would have some leverage. Like, I mean, if Norvell and Dillingham sat him down, like, hey, we're going to bring in the backup quarterback from, I don't know, Vanderbilt or something. This is a guy that we saw when we were at Memphis. We like him. We think he can help us out. He'll push you, make you a better quarterback. I mean, Jordan Travis, if he put his name in the portal, like, Jordan Travis probably, I don't know, man. I think there'd be some Power 5 programs that would like Jordan Travis. And, I mean, he's got some kind of leverage. I think he would have some bit of leverage if he was somebody that would be a malcontenter. Like, he doesn't want anybody. I mean, obviously, I don't think he wants, the more competition, the more likely you are to not have a job. I don't want Gene to bring in some other guy that can do video. I'm fine. I don't need to sharpen my iron. I'm good.
Right.
But, yeah, I guess that's the thing. Like, I do think that, at least I assume that Jordan's the kind of the guy that'd be like, yeah, I'm cool with it. Let's do it, man. Like, I believe in who I am. He's got that Russell Wilson gene in him. Go Noles, 1% better.
Yeah, I kind of do too.
But he could. But he could though, man. Like he could. He could be like, hey, man, no, I'm not cool with it. Then what do you do? Yeah,
I mean, then you say, look, Jordan. You remember the Florida game? You're in 2019. You got knocked out of that in the first half. Do you remember that you didn't even practice? The only spring practice we had in pads, you weren't a full go. You were banged up. Do you remember missing all of August? Do you remember really not being available for the first 2 weeks in a quarterback capacity? Do you remember not practicing for the Jacksonville State game because you were banged up? Do you remember coming out of the Notre Dame game because of your hand, Remember coming out of the Louisville game because you were banged up. The North Carolina game, you got banged up. The Pitt game, you left at halftime. The NC State game, you didn't play. Like, that's how you respond. Like, look, we think you're awesome. If we knew you could stay healthy, we wouldn't be doing this. But we don't know. We have to have a backup plan that we can count on because we don't know if Chubb is the guy. I think that's what you'd say to Jordan. And I think I would hope he'd be like, well, yeah, that makes sense. I remember all those times.
Oh, I forgot. Like, yeah, you're right.
Oh, that's right. I do get hurt. I do get hurt occasionally. Good point.
Yeah, well said. Well said, Corey. I agree with that, man.
But yeah, again, that's why I brought it up, because I wonder how a coach, again, going after Hornibrook when James Blackman is the returning starter, I don't think that's something that you don't really think about James Blackman's feelings that much. He hasn't earned, and maybe you don't really think about Jordan Travis's feelings at all. If you can go get a Mackenzie Milton, you go get him. But there might be a little bit of there might be some friction. That's all. But that's why he gets paid what he gets paid. He's the head coach. He has to deal with stuff like this. And he's got to get this roster better. Whatever it takes, Norvell. Whatever it takes.
All right. Let's go out on this. Somebody tweeted at us on Sunday evening. It's not even going to take that long, but this guy, I don't know how he's just, like after a nuclear holocaust, there's going to be roaches and Gus Malzahn. Serious question. This comes from Supernova. But like a supernova, but Nole.
Okay,
so I don't know if he's from Virginia or maybe he just really likes the Cosmos and Carl Sagan.
Could be.
But anywho, serious question. If Auburn fires Gus Malzahn, would you like to see FSU fire Norvell and hire Malzahn? He could keep Dillingham and Woodson and fire everyone else. Personally, I'll take Malzahn's win-loss record all day and all night. And then he tagged you and I. No.
You wouldn't.
I don't want Gus. No. I want Gus for.
I don't know. He's more of a proven commodity than Norvell at this level anyway.
Let's go get that guy from College Station. Let's bring him back before we go after Gus Malzahn.
Right. Well, he's not available. Yeah, that's a hard one. No, I would not do that. I feel like if Gus got fired by Auburn, he would be in TV for a year or two. And then if you did need to make a change at Florida State, he would still be available. So that would be my play if I was in love with Gus, which I'm not technically. But I mean, look, Auburn's just such a weird program, and they have been this way my whole life.
Yeah.
It's like 8-4. It's somewhere in the middle between 6 wins and 9 wins usually. Occasionally they'll be terrible, and occasionally they'll be incredible. Like once every decade they're incredible, and once every decade they're terrible. And everything else is kind of just in the middle.
Slog, yeah. Yeah,
it's just like a 7-8 win, 9-win team. Every decade it's like this. No matter who the coach is. It's just really bizarre. But no, I don't know that I would go after Gus Malzahn and just say, all right, well, he's available. Sorry. Because if you have the money to go pay Gus Malzahn, then go hire Matt Campbell right now. Norvell would, just like...
Oh, sweet Matty Campbell.
Just like Jordan Travis would be understanding if you went with him and said, look, JT Daniels wants to transfer from Georgia. He just likes to be in the portal. We're going to go after him. We're sure you understand. I think Norvell would be just as understanding if you said, look, if David Coburn went to Norvell, it's like, look, we know we're climbing. I've seen it. You are getting 1% better every day, but we feel like we can get about 50% better if we go ahead and hire the guy from Iowa State. You're cool with that, right? You can still be OC or whatever you have to do. I think Norvell would be understanding if you went and made a run at Matt Campbell. By the way, where do you think he's going to end up?
They're saying, I don't know, man.
I mean, is Texas even going to be open? They keep acting like that's going to be open, yeah. and he's ranked, and he's like 6-3. I mean, they're not great, but it's Texas. They've been great like 2 years in my life.
I know that's the absolutely bizarre thing about all this is like they got their own network, and if you're like 25, you're like, oh man, like yeah, Texas, like brand name, top 5 job in football. Man, I'm 38. Like Texas only probably been good like 7 years of my life.
Yeah. If that, like national championship caliber good, yeah. Probably 3 times. The Colt McCoy, when he got injured against Alabama, obviously they were in the championship game. Vince Young, and then, I don't know, maybe in the early 80s, I don't know, Earl Campbell. I might have been. I don't think I was alive when Earl Campbell was a running back at Texas, but it's been a long time. Mac Brown won 2 conference championships there, and he was there for almost 2 decades. They won 2 conference titles. It's always just been, a step above, let's say, Auburn. I don't even know that. I bet in my lifetime, Auburn has been a better program than Texas. But they're close. But anyway, so I don't know what Matt Campbell's going to do. I can't imagine he's going to be at Iowa State very much longer.
Sadly, NFL maybe. I hope he goes to the NFL because if he goes to another college program, it'll hurt me. I'll be personally affronted because that was the rumor was like during the whole entire coaching search. There was that one day where somebody had spotted that they had set the Champions Club up for a press conference. Like they put the banner up, they had the lectern up there, the seats, the chairs, and everything. And then either later that day or the next day, Matt Campbell re-upped with Iowa State, and then everything came down. Like they took all the chairs away, they took the banner away, and that was a name that was like on Gene's hot boards, and that was a guy that I liked. I liked the Mats. I liked Rule and Campbell. Yeah. Shout out. I'm not that petty. I'm not going to go back and find your name, but there was somebody after week 1 when they lost to Louisiana that commented on us on YouTube, and they're like, "Hey, Aslan, what's up with how's your boy Matt Campbell doing, loser?" And I'm just like, all right. I want to do that. Like there's every week we should do that next football season. Like we need to get something sponsored where it's just like who is the flavor of the day, the flavor of the week. Like right now it's like people are like on the message boards are ruining the decision to not get Tom Allen from Indiana. Like how did we miss out on Tom? Like we just whiffed on Tom Allen. Like we had Vince Lombardi reincarnate in our hands and we let him go.
Yeah. Man, it is so hard to know.
Yeah.
It is so hard to know. Like I would say the 2 best coaching, the 2 best programs in my lifetime, other than Florida State, consistently with unbelievable talent, were Alabama now with Nick Saban, and everybody saw that coming when he went to Alabama. Like we knew that was coming. Yeah. And then Pete Carroll at USC, and nobody saw it coming with Pete Carroll.
Yeah,
like he was a failed NFL coach. He hadn't. I mean, his name wasn't really synonymous with greatness. And he turned that thing into an unbelievable juggernaut. And so you just don't know. Like Jimbo was an unproven assistant that turned out to be a championship coach. Kirby Smart, pretty good coach. He's got a nice program. They recruit well. He hadn't taken that next step though. Remember when was it Turner Gill?
Yeah.
When Jimbo, I think Jimbo and him were hired in the same coaching cycle. And like Turner Gill was a knockout of I can't remember who hired him. Was it Kansas?
Well, no, I remember Auburn hiring Gene Chizik instead of Turner Gill and getting absolutely roasted for it.
Yeah,
Charles Barkley was even mad about it. And then but it's like then ultimately, Gene Chizik sucked. But yeah, everyone's happy to see Turner Gill finally get a shot.
He got a championship out of it, but I think Turner Gill went to Kansas and was terrible there.
Right,
I think it was Kansas.
Correct.
Which was,
he did.
Just
he
don't
did.
go to
Kansas.
Kansas.
It was Kansas.
But everybody gave that grade an A or a B plus, and gave Jimbo a C minus or a D. Like unproven assistant, Florida State's better than this, and Jimbo was a really good head coach for most of his tenure at Florida State. And
come on, man. Like the whole thing. One bad year, man.
Well, yeah. It was,
I guess that technically is most,
8.
but I feel like when you're here 8 years and you do 7 out of 8 are really good. But I'm sorry.
Well, again, I wouldn't say 16 was really good, but it was better than what we're seeing now. I wouldn't say 11 was really good, but it's better than what we're seeing now. He was building something. He was building me something. So anyway, so it's not. I don't necessarily want to say it's a crapshoot because that implies it's just all blind luck, and it's not. There are reasons to be excited about a coach and what you've seen from him in his past. But at the same time, man, there are some guys everybody knows. Everybody has their own. There are some guys that you thought, oh, that is a home run. That is a slam dunk. That guy is going to be unbelievable. And it turned out he was not.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh. Like Jim Harbaugh, Michigan, coming off what he did in the NFL, championship.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah, because, that dude, what that guy did at Stanford, what he did with the 49ers.
Yep.
It's like, well, this guy is an unbelievable coach. And now he's going to a school with all those resources. They're going to be in the top 5 for the next 10 years. And no, it hasn't happened. He's not been terrible. He's not like Brady Hoke, but he hasn't been great either. So but I will say this, Matt Campbell is the real deal. That seems pretty obvious. We live in a world where Iowa State is like 9th in the country.
Yeah.
And Indiana's 8th. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Seasons even count.
Oh, before we go out, hey, look, folks, we haven't been able to see Florida State football in a month So it's hard to talk about Florida State football. We get Norvell later today, I think, with some coordinators. So we'll be able to talk more about him. But I wanted to ask Aslan before we went out about your boy Satterfield at Louisville.
I'll get to that real quick. Athlon Sports did in March, they graded the hires for 2020. Mike Norvell was the number one name on the list with an A. He got an A. Ole Miss got an A for hiring Lane. Washington State got an A for hiring Nick Rolovich. Mississippi State got an A for hiring Mike Leach.
I mean, what are we doing? Is it a sub teacher just handing out A's just for showing up?
Yeah, it's just they don't want to upset. It's like a former coach goes on a panel on ESPN. He never rips anything. Everything's all right. The lowest graded guy was Carl Durrell at Colorado. He's currently 4-0. But I don't think that's going to work out long. I mean, Carl Durrell, they gave him a lot of money too. I think he makes almost more money than freaking Mike Norvell does at Florida State. And then what else I want to mention, Gus Malzahn, back to your sort of thing about Auburn, obviously where they exist in the microcosm of college football. After their loss, said that's what it'll be this season, 6-4. And if you had a normal non-conference schedule, it would be a solid year.
Okay, Gus.
You'd be like,
way to rally the
man, that's what Auburn is.
Way to rally the troops.
And you sneaky beat somebody that you shouldn't have beat.
Yeah, and to his credit, I think he's beaten Saban 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, kick 6, 17, and then last year.
Yeah, so he's beaten them as much. He's beaten him as much as the rest of the conference combined. And he has had to play in that when LSU was good for a good portion of those years, and then unbelievable last year. And he's had to deal with Saban every year. So yeah, he's won more. He's won his fair share against Saban, which not hardly any other coaches can say. So
Hugh Freeze can, the guy who probably replaced him.
Yeah, you're right. So what did you think about Satter? So for the folks that don't know, I'll let you know the coach at Louisville, Scott Satterfield. I always want to call him Derek Satterfield, but that's the FSU SID. No relation, I don't think. He apparently interviewed with South Carolina, much to the chagrin of everybody around Louisville athletics, not just the fans, but the AD even came out and said, look, I've had a talk with Scott. We're moving forward. But of course I wasn't happy that he talked to another institution. Why would I be? And the fans are rightly upset not to have trust in this football program right now. So it was really something like a statement I've never seen before. But then, I don't, man, that's a tough sell. If there are any Louisville kids out there that Florida State has any inkling on, like any chance to go steal recruiting wise or just portal wise, go bring this up. Like, hey man, your coach doesn't even want to be there. He wanted to go to South Carolina.
That makes no sense. Yeah, that hurt me a little bit. I like Scott. I thought he was a stand-up guy. I appreciate it. I enjoyed our sit down with him at ACC kickoff. Thought it was going to be kind of an annual thing. But obviously COVID had to upend things. Also, Vince Tyra, the AD, did release a second statement that was much more softened. And
okay.
But I guess, you have to go into damage control at that point. Yeah, I don't understand why. And I guess a money grab. I feel like Louisville. I thought he has a pretty good contract at Louisville just in terms of compensation. You're not going to win at South Carolina. Like Steve Spurrier, 10 wins. You're not beating Clemson anymore. At least Spurrier was there, and they love him because he was beating Clemson every year, and then he beat Alabama, I think, in 2010. Right. Yeah, South Carolina, no, man. You're the 4th best job in the East. No, why would you want that? Louisville, Florida State's down right now. If you can keep recruiting kids in the state of Florida, and I guess Lamar Jackson doesn't grow on trees, but I don't know. Clemson's obviously just you have the one team really to compete with right now. For sure. In the next 3 years, Florida State might be back, but in the next 3 years, if you're in the Atlantic, you just have to worry about Clemson. And if you're in South Carolina, you got to worry about Florida. You got to worry about Georgia. You have to worry about maybe to a certain degree Tennessee.
And also you got to worry about Clemson.
Yeah, they're in your state.
You have to play them. You have to play them every year too.
Yeah, that's right. It's coming back. It was just this 1 year.
It's incredible. It's just bizarre that you would leave. That's not. I guess that's just a straight lateral move. Not that Louisville's certainly been a better program than South Carolina this decade. But more than that, it's like, I think Florida State fans, the third time around with Jimbo is when they had enough. The second time was, come on, man. Are we doing this again? Really? Oh, he's coming back. All right, he just wanted raises for his assistants. Cool. The third time around, it was like, all right, man, leave. Now, some of that had to do with his record at the time, which, by the way, is the exact same record that Satterfield has now, 3-6. So to have the audacity of you have one good year at Louisville. You talk about being all in, a family. We're doing this thing right. And literally the first job that comes open in, I don't know, in a 300-mile radius, you go interview for. Like, again, I don't know how look, if he wins 10 or 11 games next year, sure, they'll be back on his side. But he's not going to. And when that doesn't happen, they will always hold this against him. They are now always going to be looking for a reason to get rid of him. And it just doesn't make sense to do it. Like, work through some back channels. But why would you even be interested in it? And I know he came out and said because his parents are like a couple 100 miles away or something, or they live in the state. But it's like, and he's like, it hadn't been that big a deal this year. You're the head
football coach at Louisville, man. You can get around.
Yeah. So that was really, I'd never seen an AD release a statement quite like that. But also, say, hey, we're going forward. But really, that's a really tenuous relationship now that you never know if it can recover. But so Florida State, even with that unbelievable loss they had to Louisville earlier this year, I think Norvell feels like he's a little on a little firmer footing than Satterfield. So there you go, Mike. There you go, buddy.
Also, I did see this come on my Twitter account. Scott Cochran, the strength coach from Alabama that Kirby plucked away. He actually tried to interview for the Southern Miss job and has had contact for the Vanderbilt job. Imagine that.
What is the head coach?
I guess, yeah.
Well, all right. I mean, look, the strength coach is a really important part of the process. We talked about that with Norvell. And you do think that he's going to make you bigger and stronger. But, I mean, has that ever happened? Like, would that even happen at a high school where, like, the head coach leaves to go to, he's the head coach at Rome and he goes to Valdosta?
Yeah, but
Rome hires their strength coach to be the head
special
coach?
Teams coordinator for the Dogs now. That's why he left Alabama, is because he has an on-field job now.
But he's been an on-field coach I guess I don't know his full resume and backstory. He's been an on-field coach for 1 year, and it's special teams.
Correct.
And then he's going to coach an SEC program as the head coach?
Nick Saban, man. Nick Saban got that. He's got that the dust. Dude, Derek Dooley, Corey. Derek Dooley was 4-7, I think, at Louisiana Tech.
Yeah. When
Tennessee hired him.
Had that last name, though, didn't he?
Well, not the last name. I think it was the fact that he coached with Saban more so.
Well, that too. Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting, man. That's part of me. Like I don't wish any bad ill on any of these guys. It's real lives. It's real families. It sucks, man, to lose your job. But it's kind of fun to cover coaching searches. But I don't think Florida State's going to be in the market, at least for the big. Obviously, won't be in the market for the big fish. And I don't even know how exciting really defensive coordinator search is, because I don't even know in this day and age who is, like, what do you even set your bar at for a defensive coordinator? Everybody's got a couple bad games on their resume just this year, right? Everyone's got a game where they allowed 40 to get hung on them. So
look, nobody's been as bad as Fuller, but that's not true. You read out, like, there are schools that are worse in total defense than Florida State.
Yeah. Power 5 teams.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just that Florida State hasn't exactly been playing unbelievable offenses. I mean, they didn't have to play Clemson or Florida this year, and they still have the 104th defense. So that's a little troubling. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Jeremy Pruitt gets fired. We bring him back.
Well,
they're going to finish. What are they going to finish? 3-8.
They just re-upped them this year.
Oh well, look, man, that was a good move by Fulmer. Anyway,
he looks.
You would think sad. You would think the way I talk about other schools that I cover, like, the preeminent program in the country. Like, I just stand on a hill taking shots at all these other ones. It's like, buddy, I'm in the valley with all you guys. That's why I can take shots.
You're in the glass house, the shiny glass house. All right, we are going to, I think we're scheduled to talk to head football coach Mike Norvell and most likely coordinators on Monday afternoon. So do stay connected to warchant.com for follow-up sort of report updates from that session. Corey will be doing the live transcription, basically, and then we'll do another podcast, and maybe we'll even have something in the middle of all that. So do stay connected to warchant.com, your ultimate Seminoles sports source. Promo code is warchant30. He's Corey. I'm Malzahn. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's Indescribably Good.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.